News with Matt Gilmore.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. You may have been woken up early this morning to the sound of an Amber Alert. 2 children in Trois-Rivières have been found safe and sound after they were reported missing Saturday evening. Provincial police say the 2 children, aged 2 and 4, were found in St. Paulin, about 60 kilometers northwest from where they were reported missing. The children were found before 8 o'clock this morning. The SQ says a 29-year-old woman has been arrested and will likely face charges. Police are investigating an overnight stabbing in the downtown core. It happened during a bar fight that spilled out onto Peel Street. 2 men, a 34-year-old and a 48-year-old, were found with upper body injuries. Police say a suspect had already fled the scene before they arrived. The Supreme Court's challenge of Bill 21 starts on Monday. Quebec's secularism law was adopted in 2019 and has faced many legal challenges since. The Supreme Court will hear arguments on the legislation and its preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause. The English Montreal School Board is among a number of organizations making the case against the law. Chair Joe Ortona says this case is important for minority rights.
The Charter of Rights is not there to just abide by the will of a majority that could choose to disregard the rights of the minority. A Charter of Rights exists to protect the minority specifically for that purpose, because sometimes the majority wants what it wants and is willing to infringe upon the rights of the minority, which is why we call upon the courts to remind the legislature of that those rights exist for a reason, and we're calling upon the courts to act as the country's conscience, to remind Parliament and to remind the provincial legislatures that the Charter of Rights matters, it's important, and minority rights deserve to be protected and preserved.
The hearings are expected to last 4 days. Gas prices are nearing $2 a litre in Montreal. In St. Henry tonight, regular gasoline was going for $1.93. Prices are surging because the war in Iran is cutting off 20% of the world's oil supply. Last time prices were this high, there was a similar story. In June of 2022, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, sanctions on oil drove prices up as high as $2.23 a litre. A group of high school girls got a taste of life as an engineer today. Concordia University is trying to inspire the next generation of women in STEM. Sweeta Rassi reports.
It's a combination of 2.
These teenage girls are thinking like engineers, working on circuit boards and using their problem-solving skills, and following in the footsteps of the women before them.
During this workshop, we learned that during World War II, men had to go to war, so then women were the ones who were making circuits and stuff like that.
STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, is still a male-dominated field. But 17-year-old Sarah Jane Bonfin says that doesn't intimidate her.
They give me a bit more of a courage, I think, to prove them wrong and show them that it's not just for men, and I'm going to show you that I can really excel in this field.
16-year-old Jerry Eunice agrees.
Okay, there's more male in this field, but it also started with women. So if you can do it, I can also do it, so yeah.
And that's exactly why Women in Engineering at Concordia University is holding this event. The student-run organization is giving girls aged 12 to 17 a front row seat to STEM, hoping to spark their interest. Elisa Moscato, who is a member of the group, has first-hand experience.
I'm in mechanical engineering, and depending on the classes, sometimes we're like 5 girls out of a class of 100 students.
Most of the workshops are run by university students who not too long ago were in high school, trying to figure out their career path.
Because they're younger, so they can definitely relate to us more, and also they're going through the program, so they can definitely explain how it is.
For 15-year-old Isabella Spagnuolo, the message is simple.
If you believe you can do it, and if you have the talent to do it, then go for it.
No matter who you are. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Quebec's cities and towns are sounding the alarm. They say safety of our drinking water is compromised, including here in Montreal. They say the province hasn't invested enough in fixing aging water infrastructure, and as population centers grow and weather becomes more extreme, the systems are overburdened and vulnerable. St. Laurent Borough Mayor Alan D'Souza is calling on the provincial parties to make access to clean, safe water part of their upcoming election campaign platform.
But at the same time, to deal with new issues that are coming up, such as climate change, that often have an impact of intense rains and overwhelm our existing infrastructures, there is a need to have consistent, known, and permanent funding over a large number of years for us to be able to tackle this issue. Cities have managed 60% of the infrastructure in the province of Quebec, yet the last budget allocated barely 5%.
Thousands of Montrealers braved the cold and snow for the 201st annual St. Patrick's Day parade. The conditions weren't great, but the party went ahead as usual. Anastasia Dextrine reports.
Sprinkles of green filled downtown Montreal on Sunday to celebrate Irish culture amid a blanket of snow.
I'd rather have this than the freezing colds we've had in the previous. This is way better. Rain or shine, we come. Any weather, no matter what. Snowstorm.
Yeah, we're going to be here.
Nice 20-degree weather.
Back in the days, it was freezing, but raining. So at least now it's snowing. We can just bundle up and enjoy the parade.
The 201st edition of Montreal St. Patrick's Parade came with a special weather statement from Environment Canada, calling for 10 centimeters of snow. The last time the region saw similar snowfall at this time in March was in 2014. But despite the weather, hundreds of thousands lined de Maisonneuve to see the floats.
I think I missed one in my lifetime, and I'll be 53 this year.
It's my first one, and I've always heard so much about it, and I was like, I have to come see it.
This is the second time, but I love to watch the parade, especially for my kids.
This is the fourth time we are enjoying over here, and even in the bad weather, you can see that little girl is also enjoying.
Montreal Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada was also in attendance, along with more than 90 organizations and performers on the parade route. This year's theme was Little Shamrock's Big Dreams, and spokesperson Nikki Pichet-Doyle says she has big dreams for the next generation.
Kids believe in magic and they believe that they can do anything, so we really channel that into the parade. We have a lot of younger people coming onto the executive now. A lot of us have young kids who also join us at our meetings. My daughter and my son are 5 and 7, and they come with us, so we really try to instill that.
And she hopes to see Montreal St. Patrick's Parade continue to hold its place as the largest in Canada. Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
The Quebec government announced today $600,000 for the Irish Monument Park Foundation. The money will be used for the memorial project on Bridge Street. The site is a burial ground for 6,000 Irish who died of typhus. The Black Rock was erected in 1859 by construction workers. Hydro-Quebec transferred the land for the memorial to the foundation in 2023. The park will include a museum and a visitors center. A 19-year-old from Ile-Bizarre has started his own business, handling what most dog owners don't always want to deal with. Lauren Fernandez reports.
For Zach Pearl, business is picking up. In his case, literally.
So I try to be number one in the number two business.
He proudly calls himself the chief scoopologist of Canine Clean, a company he started in January.
A lot of people in the area, first of all, have dogs, most of which are elderly or unable to pick up after them due to their conditions or because of the snowfalls and stuff like that. So I figured that it would be a great help to the community.
He already has 50 clients. The team is small and includes his brother, Ethan.
He's the kind of person where if there's something that he wants to accomplish, he gets it done. He's very helpful.
Zach takes it very seriously, from his technique.
There is definitely a commercial way to do it, so where you're not straining your wrists or anything, because overuse can definitely affect that.
To branding.
Should we do different colors at one point? Yeah, you could do.
Not just white?
Do the black.
The 19-year-old is managing it all while also studying justice and society at John Abbott.
The most important thing is balance, because if you're not balanced and you're not able to enjoy life and also be able to enjoy what you do, there's no point in doing it. So you have to enjoy what you do.
This isn't his first venture.
It was a clothing brand, so it was a lot of graphic graphic shirts, graphic tees for athletes in the NBA, the NFL. A lot of them actually wore it, which was pretty cool. We live, we learn.
And he's always open to new ideas.
Could you expand and maybe create fertilizer?
For sure. For sure. That's actually a very good idea. I didn't even think of it. Yeah.
He says others are taking note.
There's a lot of commercial businesses that are looking forward to something similar, where they want just waste around the property, whether it's from dogs or just plastic or whatnot off their properties and stuff like that. So there's definitely been an outreach of that.
Not bad for a dirty job that Zach says he's happy to do. Lauren Fernandez, CTV News.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff. Second pair is a gift event including designer frames. A second pair free for a limited time.
Now for a look at your forecast. Still -2 degrees in Montreal with the wind chill that feels more like -10 though. All in, we got about 10 centimeters of snow today, a sizable amount for this time of year. Tomorrow, cold in the morning, -4, mostly cloudy throughout the day, then warming up just a little bit in the afternoon to 1 degree. For the rest of the week, temperatures in the low single digits with the possibility of some more snow and freezing rain on Thursday. Still to come, why rotisserie chicken is putting Montreal on the map. Montreal is famous for its food staples, smoked meat, poutine, bagels, but the city is now also getting some international recognition as a rotisserie chicken heaven. Brett Anderson is a food correspondent with the New York Times and is based in New Orleans and joins me now. Hi, Brett.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. This week you wrote an article in the New York Times talking about how rotisserie chicken in Montreal should be talked about as a Canadian classic alongside those staples that I just mentioned. First of all, why did you decide to write this story, and how did you find out our secret?
Well, I first got turned on to eating roast chicken in Montreal about 15 years ago. And I went on a trip with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and she took me to Romados, one of the Portuguese grilled chicken places, and I just loved it. And I try to get to Montreal every couple of years at least, and every time I go, I always made a point to get roast chicken. And then more recently, when the chef Marc-Olivier Frappier opened Rotisserie La Lune, I got interested in it again because that restaurant, which is sort of the centerpiece of the story I wrote, is sort of a chef's homage to this certain kind of Québécois restaurant, you know, the rotisserie chicken place. And that got me interested in the culture of it in Montreal and sort of the place that roast chicken has in the culture, in the culinary culture of Montreal.
For people who haven't heard of La Lune, because it's fairly new still, these are the same chefs that opened Mon Lapin, which is a very famous restaurant here, doing very well. Can you sort of tell me about what the experience like there is?
Yeah, it's well, Mon Lapin is incidentally one of my favorite restaurants in anywhere. It's an excellent place, and a lot of the quality that I associate with that restaurant group's cooking is on display at Rotisserie La Lune. It's a restaurant where you can get what you would expect to get even at a place called, you know, like Saint Hubert. It's French fries, roast chicken, gravy, coleslaw, all very high quality. But it also has other things that they roast there. You can get roast pork and guinea fowl. They also do pâtés and other things that you would more expect to see at sort of like a French bistro. And the idea there is really that they believe that the rotisserie chicken restaurant is sort of Quebec's answer to a French bistro or an Italian trattoria.
So tell me about the research that you did for this story. You obviously were here in Montreal. How many restaurants did you eat at?
Quite a few. I usually eat at quite a few when I'm doing a restaurant like this. I ate, I think, at 3 different Portuguese rotisseries when I was there, and 4 more traditional rotisseries, including La Lune, which I mentioned. Chalet Barbecue is one it was my first trip actually to Chalet Barbecue on this trip, and I'm very fond of it. It's got a ton of character, as anyone there in Montreal who's been knows. And I also really love the spicy Portuguese chicken, as I mentioned earlier, which is sort of a unique restaurant to Montreal. It's not even something you really see that widely in Portugal, these piri-piri chicken places. And I'm a big fan of Romados and Coco Rico and Ma Poule Mouillée, excuse my French pronunciation there, but I visited all of those as well. Thanks. Good.
Can you tell me about the difference between sort of the traditional rotisserie that you'll see at La Lune versus what you might find at some of these Portuguese piri-piri type restaurants like Romados and Cocorico?
Well, the main difference is the seasoning. It's the Portuguese places are seasoned with a chili hot sauce called piri piri, and so that's like the most obvious difference. Also, at the not all Portuguese places is this true, but many of them spatchcock the chicken, so it's split open to roast. Where in the more traditional Quebecois rotisseries, the chicken is roasted whole, and also coleslaw is not as common in the Portuguese places as it is in the traditional Quebecois ones.
So from an outsider's perspective, because as I mentioned before, we know how good the chicken is here, but maybe I didn't necessarily realize that it's any better than anywhere else. So why is it that you put Montreal sort of on the map as a rotisserie chicken heaven, as you put it?
Well, to me, what I think is unique about Montreal is that rotisserie chicken as the centerpiece of an actual restaurant is something that I think is quite unique. It's certainly not something we see very commonly in the United States. And it seemed to be sort of part of the culinary culture there that maybe was a little bit underappreciated. I think that's something that the folks at Rotisserie La Lune sort of brought to light. You know, they really wanted to kind of pay homage to a type of restaurant that people in Quebec, at least in their telling, they felt maybe took for granted. And I wanted to highlight all of that. You know, I think Montreal is, as you know, a very unique place and a wonderful place and a great place to eat. And I just felt that the story about the rotisserie chicken restaurants was perhaps undertold.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks very much, Brett. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Still ahead, Montreal and Ottawa play in front of a packed arena in Winnipeg.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news. For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
The Montreal Victoire played the Ottawa Charge this evening. The game was played in Winnipeg, part of the PWHL's Takeover Tour to promote the women's game. It was a packed house inside the Canada Life Centre. In the second period, still scoreless, Gabby Hughes gave Ottawa the lead. And 6 minutes later, Nicole Gosling tallied for Montreal, tying the game at 1. It was scoreless through the third, and then that game would need overtime, and not much of it. Rebecca Leslie scores the winner for Ottawa just 12 seconds into the extra frame. 2-1 the final score. Next up, another big game against the league's leaders, Minnesota Frost, on Wednesday night. Well, Laval's Leylah Fernandez is out of the Miami Open. The 23-year-old lost in straight sets to American Jessica Pegula, 6-2, 6-2 in the third round of singles, then lost a heartbreaker in the doubles alongside partner Venus Williams. CF Montreal were looking to kickstart their season in Cincinnati this afternoon. Carmona, with a long-range shot, gave Montreal an early lead. Just before half, with the score tied at once, Prince Owusu would give Montreal another lead. Second half, the score now tied at 2. Owusu gets hauled down in the box. The ref gives a penalty, and he gives a red card. And Owusu steps up and scores from the penalty spot. With just 10 men on the field, though, Cincinnati would find a way back into the game, first tying it in the 80th minute, then stealing a winner off a poorly defended long throw in the 94th. The final score 4-3 Cincinnati. CF Montreal sit second bottom of the East with just 3 points in 5 games. Taking a final look at the weather forecast, still -2 degrees in Montreal with the wind chill that feels more like -10. We got about 10 centimeters of snow today, a sizable amount for this time of year. Tomorrow it's going to be cold in the morning, -4, mostly cloudy throughout the day, warming up to 1 degree in the afternoon. For the rest of the week, temperatures in the low single digits with the possibility of more snow and some freezing rain on Thursday. That wraps it up for us tonight. For the latest news, you can listen to the Andrew Carter Morning Show tomorrow at 5 on CJAD 800. Of course, you can always head to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca, for extended coverage. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.